half of the money that we used to collect from Clarkstown, from Target and the other people, we're going to give them half of that money. So we got no money. That's why we lost $2 million from that little 2 pieces 2x4. That's what I was saying, Sherry. It's not about telling you we rushed it too quick. We should have bypassed it and bite the button. Everybody know that thing wasn't working. We discuss that every day. It's not about we know wasn't working. It's rushing it. We did it too fast. We could have sit down and all of us sit down together. Grossman bring his input. Trustee White bring her input. You bring your input. We'll bring our input. I bring mine. And then we come up with a conclusion. We ask the best lawyer. How do we do that? How do we do that? I had to get big people to come in to try to help me. Right now, I'm not finished, Grossman, the thing for you guys to see how much money these people pay difference. Because somebody got to calculate it for you. You can't sit there with a piece of paper. That's never going to happen. So when you got all sheets in your hand, you look at the sheet, you see how much you charge them different, then you got a better idea how to fix it. That's what I'm doing, Trustee White. Let me show you. I showed this sample to you guys before. I think I did. So when we have that ready by tomorrow, we will know, Grossman, exactly how much we charge these people. You have it, I give it to you. I gave you a piece example last time.
Who did this?
Huh?
Who did this?
We did VATSI and then with help.
This is all the people that applied for S-Star?
Not all. We got thousands of them there.
Okay.
We got about 3,000, almost 3,000.
We can't have 3,000 because only 1,600 had an increase.
Where?
Only 1,600 parcels in Spring Valley had an increase.
Only 16?
Yeah.
However,
And I don't think everyone applied.
Okay.
So it can't be a few thousand.
Oh yeah.
We have 3,700 parcels,
Maybe 2 or 3 of them.
including Clarkstown.
Velton, could you help the mayor? The mayor tired. The mayor is sick. Come in, Velton. Come and help the mayor.
What happened?
Come and help me bring something.
I'm sorry, Trustee Wilson. What did you get?
Come and bring.
This we got at the previous meeting last week,
Come and bring something.
Thursday. It was on.
Last week they put out a calendar. You got a copy of that calendar?
Velton?
With the items that you guys were gonna do, the items that.
An agenda.
Yeah, the agenda.
I don't have that with me. the agenda.
It's supposed to be a meeting for the public. I don't understand why we're not sitting there.
That's what I just said.
If you could push it to them, see how far
I
we've
hope
been,
nobody's there. I'm gonna.
how hard we've been working. Grossman
There
there.
should be a note on the floor.
I don't know
Yeah,
how
I
much.
know. I filled that up. I filled that up.
I don't know how much it
The
is.
agenda.
I don't know how much it is. You
Cannot
may be
be more
right.
than
That's
16.
You may be right. You may be right. I don't know how much.
It has to be less than 16.
But we have few more to go. We have more to go. So by tomorrow at noontime, they promised me they're gonna done. They're gonna be done. So that's the whole thing, Michael. You see this? This is it, Michael.
No, I know. If you
We filled it
remember,
out.
I was here helping.
Okay,
The
this is the
clerk's
thing.
office.
So what we're going to do is this. We're going to sit down, Miguel. Don't be upset. If you make mistakes, you're going to be
I
upset.
just feel.
You're going to wish the
Well,
mistakes.
with the choice that I made, I don't feel like it was a mistake. That's the
You're going to wish the mistake. If you make a mistake, you're going to try to goes around it, blame somebody for doing something and think you're going to wish up the mistake. Don't do that. Just correct the mistake
That's why I'm here.
and
to
move
correct.
forward.
That's
And move
why I'm
forward.
here to correct.
I promise Velton that, and we're going to try to see if we can speed up some money. I was taught you don't have your budget in place and you're in deficit, you can't do it now until you finish with this. I promise Velton I was trying to make the board do something because they need some money. Everybody needs some money.
Right, but if that's the case, then if we're in deficit, then we can't do 4A either.
No. 4A is that by resolution already. The board already approved that the money was using for kids. That's a given. The board approved it, that you have the resolution. The
Right,
money
but
is-
you know what, if you go, I read the pilot agreement today.
Yeah.
The pilot agreement, that funding really is for the
Sure.
DARE program.
No, we changed it. It was
I'm
for
just
their
saying.
program.
And
It
then-
was originally.
And then, hold on, and then based on, because I found my old, hold on. I have it here.
They said we have to wait
I
at
went
least for
back
2 more
and I
weeks
found the
till we
letter
get
too.
Yeah.
And that's, the
this
20th agenda.
total
You
really
don't
goes
need
way
it.
back since
No, I didn't get that
'99.
agenda.
So I'm looking at.
No, the 99 one,
Okay.
in 2000, I believe in 2013, we passed a resolution to put it for youth instead of their program. We take it over from there, we put it for youth. The DARE program is part of the youth.
But if,
But what happened?
but if
what
we're in
happened is-
deficit,
What happened is, if you, the government, if you in deficit, you cannot give money away till you balance your book.
so, right,
So that's
the-
where we are right now. I
I-
believe in 2 weeks, maybe or less, we should be able to come up with something. Once we know we're gonna borrow the money, 2 million, right? We know we're gonna borrow 2 million, and then we know how much 2 million gonna give us with that budget for the Clarkstown part, because we're down from 114 to 54. It's a given. But the Ramapo one, we're not gonna need the money. Sherry, the Board of Trustees, the existence effective budget was based on 0.34% to accomplish everything that we need. The only thing we did wrong, we didn't go through that, we go to the next one. So everything get messed up. The next one get messed up, that one get messed up at the same time. Because if we stick with the 0.34%, we would have been fine. Everything would be okay. The money we're not going to need to borrow any money. We're not going to need to do anything. We're not going to need, everything would have been okay. But we go to the next level, then that's where the mistake taking place. Right now, I can tell you that whatever you did is going to be wrong again if we did it before you got this paperwork in the front of you. You got to look at them, every one of them, to look at them to see exactly, because it's a lot of work for us to make copies of this for everybody. So you got to look at them to see how much money we charge these people, and if we deduct that money, listen, Chair, I got it from big people. If we deduct that money, the surplus, from what we supposed to get originally, then we will know how much we have left. You hear me, Sherry? Then the $2 million might be okay, or may not be okay. Because whoever come up with that number, they don't have no figure to come in up, bring it up. They just brought it up. They didn't know that, what do you call it? Target was going to pay, was going to gain $250,000 for nothing. They didn't know that. They didn't know other municipalities going to get money for nothing. Whoever made that mistake, that number, they were rushed to do it, they were wrong. I was told completely they were dead wrong because they didn't know how much we're going to lose. How can somebody come up with that kind of bogus number? So it's up to you. I lay it out to you. I explain it to you. And 4 of us listened to it. 4 of us hear it. 4 of us understood. The best thing to do for me is to get everybody this paperwork and see how you can help the people out. Okay, go ahead.
I would suggest that we formally open the meeting because I'm not sure
Yes,
we'll
go ahead,
formally
go ahead,
open.
go ahead. I'll entertain the motion. Moved by McGill, second by
Second.
Grossman. The meeting now formally open. Grossman, you have the floor.
No, I don't take attendance.
Okay.
Mayor DeLong?
Okay, yes.
Present. Deputy White? Present. Deputy, I'm sorry, Trustee White. Trustee McGill, Trustee Fong, Trustee McGill, Trustee Fongo,
And you.
and I'm present.
No, not I, you, Grossman.
Asher Grossman.
Yes.
Ms. Mazzola, I have a question. What is the process? If you don't mind, come closer, thank you.
Yeah, come to have the seat.
Thank you.
The last week at the meeting, you suggested,
Let her sit down to take a break.
last week at the meeting, you suggested that these meetings are for the public to be able to be heard about it and not necessarily for us to take action. What is the mechanism that you are suggesting? When should we take action on those STAR applications? How would that work?
Well, that is up, the board reserved the discretion to determine the method in its resolution in
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
And so the board can determine that method, but similar to the tax assessment process, you want to make sure that you have all the information you need. And so we can't, in those situations as here, you may not be able to accept the statements as completely true on the applications until they're verified by the treasurer.
Yeah.
So you want to verify
By
the
us,
information with the treasurer.
it's done.
At least that would be our recommendation, so that you take the information on the applications, have the information verified by the treasurer, and upon doing so, then I believe the board can make a determination on the applications.
Yes, I
So-
believe that too, because I give it to him, he verified them, he showed me the whole tally of it, and that's what he gives. Then we gotta bring him here the next time to tell us what, if those information is correct. Then that's when we can make a move, Gosman, to see what we're gonna do.
So the mechanism would be for this pile of applications now to go to the Treasury's office,
That's where they came from.
right?
That's
And
what-
for them to go through by one and get the backup information,
Ver-
verify the
verification,
backup
yes.
information?
There's a spot at the bottom of the form, I believe I have a sample here, that allows the treasurer to fill in, because where it comes down to.
To fill in the blank, I saw it,
Yes.
I saw it.
Yes, to fill in what was last year, the different, you just want to know.
What was last year?
What
You
was
remember?
2007?
We know what was last
The
year.
2017 tax bill, the 2016 tax bill, and the difference.
Right,
Because,
but hold on, but
because-
didn't they do that, we were given this the last meeting, which states the 2017 tax amount and the 2016 tax amount.
that's exactly that, but
other
he's not,
stuff-
and he's not putting in that, he's
I know,
not
but
in
this-
that form.
But this
It's not in
came
that
from the
form yet,
treasurer's
Guzman. We
office.
formulated,
Yes.
we formulated,
So-
now they have to put it in the form to give it to us.
That's
Then
what we
we
were
can
told.
go from there, and we know exactly what to
What
do.
I'm trying to say, I understand you're saying that the treasurer's office needs to take this paperwork, write down the 2016 tax bill, the 2017 tax bill. I understand that. But what I'm saying to you is, we were given this spreadsheet from the treasurer's office, which has 2000 tax amount as well as 2017 tax amount.
She agreed, McGill, but it's not in the form.
Oh, yeah, but that's okay.
She
You guys-
agreed.
Yes, but you guys can change the process. If you would like the treasurer instead to verify those forms to make it easier for everyone.
Just sign on it. you
Then
know,
he could
sign
do
on
that.
it, sign on it, sign on it, sign on it. That's good.
What I've heard is the process is evolving, and from each of the board members. And what I heard the last time at the meeting is that you didn't want to restrict the applications to people who may have applied or not.
Yes,
And that
we
you may
give them
have
2
wanted
weeks.
to expand it
2 weeks.
to people who just have been impacted negatively by it. I don't know if that's the case, or if you want to proceed in that manner. If that is, then you can change the process, because the board is allowed to do that under the last resolution. So the board can change the process to automatically accept them based on the verifications of the treasurer, if the
Yeah.
board wishes to do so.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the
That's the
board's
best way to
process, the
do it.
board has the discretion. So
And
like
you know,
you said,
Ms.
so you
Mazzola,
don't have to.
Ms. Mazzola, I believe that's the best way to do it. You got the treasury, I mean, check it out, sign on it. The board can easily slip out and anything, say, okay, there was a mistake made. Our treasury and our lawyers sit down. The process is not perfect, but this is what they're coming up. We find out what it is, done. I think that's the best way to do it.
I'm lacking clarity.
Yes.
When we passed the resolution originally, I thought, it was my understanding, obviously I was wrong, that on the 2 meetings, the 20th and the 27th, we would actually approve we would approve the application on those nights. But last week, at the beginning of the meeting, you suggested that it should not be the case, and obviously we didn't have the information, the verification rather,
Yes.
to do so. And I accept that. The question is now, what would be your suggestion to proceed?
My suggestion to
She
proceed,
said it.
you could do,
Based on the resolution that
Yes.
we passed.
you could do one of two things. You could have the treasurer go through each and every application and verify on the form what the information is, and then present that to the board as verified, this is what the differences are, and the board can elect to pass the amount that it wishes to refund. I remember that was up in the air as well from the last meeting. So that is what the board can do. Or, if the board does not wish to do that, you have this form from the treasurer, you have to have him verify that those are the amounts that those amounts are true. That is and what the difference is, and what percentage of that is going to be refunded. But the real issue is that you need to make sure that the
Yes.
village is protected by a signature and a release with
Yeah.
respect to each one.
Just for loss.
That's imperative. So the process can be either way the board sees fit.
Okay. Mazola.
Does that answer your
Mazola.
question?
Yeah, I think you close. You very. No answer. No question ever answer 100%.
So now,
Yeah,
the same treasurer who's making mistake time and time again, we're depending on him to look.
No, we
at
did it already, Villa. With Villa, we did it. That done. I didn't let him do it, buddy. I don't let him do that. Believe me. I take him out of that. I don't let him do it. I did it. Now, if Mazola have it, she verified it. They already verified it. Lynch did. They find it true and good, and I send it to other authorities. They see that it's perfect. It's good. Now, it's up to us, like Mazola said, to go there to tell him, look at those numbers. If they're okay, that's what you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
He has
If
to
they match,
verify.
if they match from me, if he can't match it, then we gotta get rid of him as quick as possible, because I can do better treasury than him. Counting money is easy. Anybody can add 1 and 2, but doing those things, that's the thing treasury should be. It's not the main job. But I had to take over to do it because I saw the lady that you saw in the news, and the lady in Van Orden. I had to go to the house overnight because they couldn't understand what the news was saying. Because those people there was a woman was taking pills. Their pressure went up. They're losing their livelihood, the only place they got. They don't have that money. So those are the things we have to hurry up and try to settle. I agree with you, that's exactly the answer that I received from other municipalities, other people, the states, everywhere, that I sent the copy. They said that's exactly what they told me to do it. They said, fine, it's good. But the Board of Trustees got to sit down to verify it. We got to verify it, like you said. We don't have to do that, we have a treasurer. So he's got to verify those numbers, tell us if they're okay or not. If he can't do that, get rid of him.
Well, it's,
I'll help you.
yeah, the S-STAR program just calls for 3 simple numbers. 1, the 2017 tax bill, 2, the 2016 tax bill, and 3, the difference. There's no reason why they cannot be extrapolated from or extrapolated from
From the treasurer.
absolutely, from a program, a software
Oh,
program.
Excel, just,
Do it.
you could do it
That's
under
Absolutely.
Excel, you just put in the formula up top, it'll do the calculations for you, so.
Yeah, we did it already. Vatsy's, the deputies, by the way, I have him in the office, 2 hours. I couldn't get him to understand what I tried to tell him. I called Vatsy. I said, Vatsy, let me explain something to you. Would you understand that? And I explained to her. She said, yes, sir, I got it. And she come back with 1 sheet for me. I said, Sherry, you see what I've been telling you? That's all we want. The board want to know where the mistake is, how much money they charge the people. Extra, so they can fix it. So I had Vatsy, Martine, the other girls, Joanne, and 1 extra girl working in it. They're pushing to get this done. It's a lot of work to do. Believe me, it's a lot of work. You could see that. So they get it done. They got only few pages to complete it, which is will be okay by tomorrow. They said by 10 o'clock. So once we got it like that, my suggestion to the board is this: take the advice from Mazola. Let's give it to him. We're gonna give it to him tomorrow. I say, hey, verify this number. Is that correct, Mazola?
as I said, Mr. Mayor.
I just want to know
Yeah,
what to
I
tell.
believe the treasurer should verify
That's his job,
an
though.
Excel spreadsheet
It's his job.
indicating 2017, 2016 tax bills and the difference.
Yes.
And present it to the board.
Thank you. That's exactly what I thought too. But and that way we will solve that mistake, solve that error, because eventually, because of Clarkstown, we gotta borrow money. Okay, we gotta borrow money because of Clarkstown, the debacle. Because Clarkstown, we used to be 114, you know, and now we 54. I don't know who got that number, where they get it from. I have no idea. So that's how they come up with 54 votes. So we have no control over it. We already send the bill to them. If we try to snap it, we're gonna get lawsuit all over the place. And even if we won the lawsuit, we lost. Because you're gonna pay the lawyer to defend it. And then what happened? You're gonna take the money you're gonna make, and you're gonna give it to the lawyer anyhow. The money you're gonna try to give to them for profit, you're gonna give it to the lawyer anyhow. So that's where we are. All right? Everybody,
I have a
are
question.
we? Yes.
Yes, Mr. Law. I would like some clarification on the two programs. People have asked me if they apply for the STAR program, the state program, and get, you know, relief from that. Is that the same program as the S program, S-STAR,
No, the state has their own STAR program,
right?
separate and distinct. What happened here, we'll go back a second, is that
Mistake was.
when the
Nobody told me. I would tell him not to.
the S-STAR was something that was developed by the village board in order to respond to this inequity that resulted from the recent tax bill. And that's what the S-STAR is, separate and
We can
distinct.
still
It's
reject.
not
we can still-
related to it.
But what happened to it, Trustee White?
What kind of a, how do you invent something with the same name as something that already exists? What, unless
no
your
idea.
purpose is
I have
directly
no
to
idea.
confuse people on purpose,
I have
why
no
would you
idea.
come up with the exact
Either way,
same name?
Either way, it was wrong. So my idea is this. Okay, let's say somebody make a mistake. Any mistakes that they make. And if anyone think that you cannot make mistakes, you never made one, raise your hand. There will be no hand up. I know that for a fact. If the mistakes made, the best thing about it is to show that you're going to fix it and fix it. People, majority of people accept mistakes. Majority of people accept that. So if the mistake was made, we show diligent that we work. I spent a week and 3 days in the hospital. One day I went to the wrong hospital. I had a sciaticus. They treat me for something different. I used to be a soccer player. It's not part of the meeting, and I had sciaticus in 1967. It never went away, but if you're aggravating it, especially when you're in the old age, you suffer. So I had to be there with a headache. Because I find out if I'm not coming there, the Treasury is not going to fix it for us. He's going to let the board in limbo. He's not going to do anything. I talked to him 2 hours. He refused to tell me he understand. He don't understand. Him to call the lawyer. I said, no, that's not the lawyer's job. That's your job. Call the lawyer. Finally, I called the girl. The girl did it for us. And she's supposed to be the deputy. So I'm sick. I just came from the hospital a week and a half. Take all kind of crazy drug medicine from that hospital. They drugged me out to death. And there I am now, trying to help to get it done. I could have been going home faking, not faking, yeah, because I could do it. But if I said I can't, I'm faking it. I lie. I don't lie. I could have just said, okay, you know what? Be my guest. I can't do that. Regardless my differences with somebody, I can't do it. I don't have heart to do that. Okay? They don't listen to me. They learned their lesson good. We should have slowed down a little bit, but let's fix it together. So I sit down every day there. Just you, I saw me. You saw me limping and running to back and forth office.
I have another question.
Yes.
So this new paperwork that was generated by the VASI or
That's.
whoever did it, that is going to give the people, the taxpayers, 100% of what they were overcharged?
What they will do. It
And-
will
and
give us,
how-
no.
And
what-
wait, and how are we going to, or is the treasurer going to calculate the 0.34%?
Yes, yes, on that one, and that one. So, let me explain it, Mazola, and write it down so you could give us something to think about it. 0.34% we charge. And the extra money, it's in the last column, right? The overcharge is in the last column. When the treasurer take the right one, the treasurer will tell us how much money we got from that one. Plus, we already passed the resolution to borrow $2 million for Clarkstown area, plus the $2 million. Is that correct,
Who
Grossman, right?
passed this resolution to borrow $2 million?
Did we receive that, I think? Did we? Well, that was not part of the resolution? Or just the suggestion?
I don't remember voting.
We didn't do it,
for $2 million.
Grossman? Okay, help me out, help me out.
I'm your clerk now?
We didn't. You're the trustee. I'm trying to bail
I
everybody
have
out.
no clue what you're talking about, so I'm not gonna ask you.
Okay, then,
I have
there
no
was
clue.
a,
I'm not gonna
Mazola, where
answer.
does $2
I'm not
million
gonna answer
come
your
from? Would you tell me?
What $2 million are you talking
Borrow
about?
from
I do.
bond.
I do not know of a resolution.
But
that
there
we
was
have
a,
on June
there was a
13th
letter
involving
sent,
that.
there was a letter sent to the board about, we had to borrow $2 million to cover up for Clarkstown from your office?
I don't recall that letter off
Okay,
the
well,
top of my
I'll
head.
get to it tomorrow. I know there was something. I'll get to it tomorrow. But if that was not the case, if that is not the case, we're losing $2 million on the other side. We're losing $2 million because we cannot go back to it anymore. Because the bill already sent for them, they dropped it down for whatever the reason was, 54% from 114. We're losing $2 million. That's where your office get that number from. I don't know how they come out. So we know that we lost $2 million in
We didn't
Clarkstown.
lose. Clarkstown had incorrect bills.
No.
They had incorrect bills.
We lose. May I explain it again, Grossman?
114 was the wrong calculation. 0.54 is the right
No.
calculation for Clarkstown.
No,
Yes.
no, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Why is the wrong one? We had it for 50 years. You will tell the people it was wrong, so you gotta give them money back. Why is it worse, but why is the wrong thing? That's what we had for 50 years.
It's pretty tricky.
That's not what we had.
Can't go there.
Is this the variance?
Cannot go there.
The what?
Variance?
Cannot go there. That's our meeting, we can't.
No.
No, the boardroom.
Yeah.
Zoning board.
Boardroom, at the boardroom.
Oh, the boardroom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He told us here, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, this is about the tax.
They were testing us to see if we could follow instructions.
now,
Sorry,
Grossman, if we had that, it was in the news, the newspaper called about it every day. We shot $2 million in Clarkstown, whatever the guy.
You're making up statements, sir, and you're giving that to the media, and frankly, you have no clue what you're talking about. And you should start educating yourself about the process and what the 114 represented.
You are
and
fucking
what,
son of a
and what
bitch,
the
idiot, you
54
crooks.
represented.
I give you 5 weeks to put you in the same place to be funded.
5 weeks.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Fine, fine.
If you tell me I have no knowledge, you are dumb. I am a licensed in the United States of America.
License? A driver's license?
Licensed, let me repeat
What
it to
license
you.
you have?
Couple of them.
Driver's
Licensed under water welder and
It has nothing to do with welding. You know how to weld.
and listen.
And you know how
No,
to drive,
listen,
and you know
listen,
how to. You
listen.
don't know about taxes,
Listen,
obviously.
Grossman, listen,
If you
Grossman.
don't know how to.
That's why I go Washington, I go to the Attorney General for it.
Okay.
That's why I went.
Listen to. Okay.
Alright, so I'm gone. I have that, Mazzola. I'm not listening to those idiots no more. Because those idiots is trying to get in my nerve. what I have, whatever they passed, whatever they did, from 2013, every one of them was wrong. Let me tell you, Grossman, when you guys locked the door in the Civic Center, Villafranville made a statement. I asked him to rebuke it. He refused. Not only him is in trouble for that, those who made that decision is going to be in trouble for that. And he's going to tell you, well, no. And I'm telling you, Grossman, watch me. In 3 weeks or 4 weeks, there's 116 charges coming for him for what he did in here. What he did in here. So you listen, you don't listen to me. You an idiot. I have finished with you. I'm done with you.
116 charges?
Yes.
Okay.
That's mail fraud and by the way, Gerard dead. I'm not going to tell you why. Larry Wiseman get kicked out at the village hall. Nobody tell you why. His girlfriend going to be in the same sack with Villa. Gerard's girlfriend, same sack with Villafranville. Let him laugh because he laughed before. If you're so stupid, you think that because you do some frivolous signatures and petition, that they let you go. When they get FBI sitting in the back waiting for you, you cash the check with the FBI.
This is what we're recording all this nonsense?
If you think that is a joke, you stay, you will see.
What's
Then-
the petitions got to do with it?
Then you stay there. I am telling you, I try to help you to fix this. You disrespect me again like you
I'm not
always do.
disrespecting you, I'm telling you how it is.
You don't know.
You-
I have more knowledge than you, than your generation. Listen, kid, let me tell you, kid. When I was your age, I was well to do. When I was your age.
But Mayor, those are tax papers?
Then whatever you guys did, none of my business, because I already told you what's going on. She tell you the same story
Is
that
that
I
different
said.
than what
Be my
was
guest.
Yeah, there was
written
more
for the
added.
last meeting?
Yeah, there was more added.
Be my guest.
And he's not cleaning up in the room. So we really can't.
Now we're gonna have a meeting. So, the mechanism again, I wanna go back to that so that we can have clarity and maybe perhaps even a timeline of what to do. Now, to gather the 2016 tax amount for everyone, I have that. To gather the tax amount for 2017 for everyone, I have that too.
Thank you.
Now I just need to be able to indicate who applied for an S-Star form, which I believe,
You think, listen, you think
But
you
somebody
run
locked-
Villa to
somebody
jail.
locked the door.
You run in the village. Guess what? Guess what? You ain't doing it. It's over. Your time is expired. You
You want me to
overdo
open
it. I was told that you not today by about right in the front there about 50 people was there.
50 people said that I'm not.
Yeah, from your community. They said you
50
not.
people from my community said today that I'm not.
Yeah, right there in the front too. They say
Maybe
you
I'm
not.
not.
They say you not because they talk to you. You still don't understand what's coming for you. That's what they tell you. You nuts. So all I can tell you, my friend, be my guest. Try to helping you. I'm helping myself because I have a board. I have a people in my responsibility to take care of. Not you. You're just a trustee. All you have to do is sit there, close the door, get out in the village. That's all. That's the rule. Get out in the village. You sit there, have the crazy meeting, get out in the village. And then when you make a mess, it's my job to try to fix
Clean
it.
up.
To clean it up. And then, when I try to clean it up, like I did already, pass it to the big guy to look in why you keep insist. Who do you know in Clarkstown you lower the taxes down?
But
I will know that. I will know that. Who do you know in Clarkstown? You know, you get me? You get the point? I don't think you do. You're so stupid, I don't think you do.
Ms. Mazzola,
So-
just, if you don't mind, just to get clarification on his statement. He has said that we lost money by reducing the Clarkstown from the equalization, from the tax rate of 114 per $100, 0.114 per $100.
Per hundred or per thousand?
thousand, I'm not sure, and we lowered that to some, I think, 0.54. And that was due to the wrong calculation that we did in Clarkstown, because instead of giving Ramapo one rate and Clarkstown a different rate, the treasurer here gave one unified rate for both Clarkstown and Ramapo, and that needed to be fixed, and that's why we lowered it. So if anyone got lowered from 114 to 0.54, it's not an error. It's not as a result of the change of assessment, but rather a result of the miscalculation by the treasurer. Am I saying it correct?
Yeah, and the correction of taxes was sent out under the real property tax law, 556B, I believe, and that was allowed to be done to the Clarkstown side because it corrected it with the proper equalization rate.
Okay. One more point that I would like to make. Steve White mentioned, and he's not here right now, but he, in response to the question raised by Trustee White regarding the S-Star and the name of it, so he didn't understand why we purposely, he sort of alluded to that we purposely used a name that is confusing. I just want to clarify, this is, S-Star is currently in the law, and we had to find within the law a program that would address the village residents' issue with their tax bill. It's not a name that we made up, rather it's somewhere on the books. Is that so?
There is a state STAR program regarding taxes, regarding rebates, and this was a similar program, a supplemental STAR, in
Supplemental
addition
star.
to the.
So it had to have the star in there because it's a supplemental star.
That was
The
that was
idea
what it was
that
intended.
what came up,
The
okay.
name use.
So it wasn't intended to confuse people,
No, this whole process is intended to help.
to help people. Good. So let's go back if we don't, I'm sorry, Trustee McGill.
No, go ahead, no, it's okay, go ahead.
No, I wanted to know what are we to do next? So I have the 2016 tax amount, I have the 2017 tax amount. That's not an issue. The box with the forms, he obviously took back to him. I'm not sure the trustees will have control over that and what he's gonna do with it. I don't want this process to be held up as a result of the mayor.
It's hijacked, this process.
I don't want the process to be, I want the trustees to be able to do legislatively what they're supposed to do or what they would like to do and what the people expect them to do without interference of the mayor. What can we do to speed up the process so we can say, okay, we did it, we approved it, now it's up to the village to release the checks?
A process that could be done without having the benefit of the applications is to extend the program to even non-applicants. But to require, you send a letter to the, everyone affected, with a release attached to it, and the proposed new amount, if the amount is acceptable. The whole issue is that the release is imperative to this process.
Yeah, so that they'll come
So
back
it's-
and sue us.
The release is going to be part of the check that they receive, isn't it?
Yes, this is not something the village has to do. This is something the village is electing to do to help people with the impact that the state, unfortunately, did not advise was going to occur when this change took place. The state did a sampling, and that sampling reflected there would be a minimal impact. And when this came about, now that it's been the full process, despite the state's continued advocacy of consolidation of services, and it's pushing that on these municipalities such as the village, and the promises that consolidation would result in lower taxes for the taxpayers, the village accepted those representations from the state, enacted the law that it did, consolidated its assessment office with the towns, and unfortunately, the promised results did not occur.
Right, and I did some thought, I had some thoughts about that, and I did some research about that, and as a matter of fact, it was one of the items that I wanted to speak to you about tonight. The state does support and encourages villages for consolidation, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They have programs that they advocate for it, and it's been a constant issue raised by the controller.
Controller and the governor is pushing for it, and they keep on pushing for consolidation. Did the state come down here and encourage us to do the same with the tax assessor's office and do away with it? They encouraged us to do so, is that not correct?
Yes, there was recommendations made by experts advising that it would benefit the village to do so and its taxpayers.
So in my opinion, while they encouraged us to save money by closing the assessor's office, they absolutely did not save us problems by doing so. We followed their advice. We did what they encouraged and asked us to do. Not asked us to do, but encouraged us to do, and encourages consolidation and encouraged tax assessor's office be eliminated. And yet we find ourselves in a problem, and they're not here. I was wondering if there's any way for us to pursue that or to sue them and to litigate that against the state.
That's a very complicated question, but I think that potential should definitely be explored because there have been claims before that have attacked state systems and with respect to different financial systems, and you could extend that here perhaps to the assessing system, which all comes down from the state. So I think that a meritorious claim should be explored that tracks a case called the Campaign for Fiscal Equity, which was a lawsuit that was successfully attacked the state system of financing certain education, and perhaps you could take those concepts from that case and extend it to what has occurred here, because unfortunately the state's assessing system is extremely complex, a complex morass that has brought us here today.
Brought us here today, and the way I see it, to get out of this mess, the S-Star, it addresses this year's increase. It does not address the future year's increase. We had to come up with there was an immediate problem, we came up with an immediate solution. But the board is gonna have to sit and make decisions and determinations for future years how we're gonna address it. One of the options that we have to look at is perhaps bring back the assessor's office or other solutions. But anything would require for us to get a proper analysis done by companies that know how to do that and see how it would impact the village residents. And any analysis or even if we bring back an assessor's office, probably we should and we would have to do a reevaluation of the entire village, and every process like that would cost us a lot of money. I think that there should be, I would like to know if your office would agree to pursue litigation against the state and see at least if we can recover the cost that is associated with the mess they encouraged us to be in. While they didn't encourage us to be in a mess, they encouraged us to consolidate, they encouraged us to close the assessor's office, and I would like to know if your office would accept something like that on a contingency basis.
Yes, our office recognizes what inequity the board is trying to help or to fix for its residents, and our office would contribute our resources to that.
So, in light of that, I would like to make a proposed resolution right now that we authorize the Office of Fierick, Lynch, McCartney, and Nugent to look into this litigation against the state as a result of what has transpired here in the village, and on a contingency basis.
Before you vote, I'm a
I
taxpayer, and
move on.
I'd just like to ask a question. When you say on a contingency basis, what does that mean? Like, is this gonna be passed on to the cost of your budget? The village budget?
Ms. Mazzola, if you can address.
Sure, a contingency is a lawsuit that can be undertaken with no cost to the client,
Okay.
except if it's
We
successful.
win. Okay.
So that's a contingency. It would not cost the taxpayer anything
Okay.
to litigate that, only if we're successful, then.
But as a taxpayer and a prior auditor, I'd just like to ask a simple question. It seems like a lawsuit is great. I understand it should be recourse if you took advice that was actually, you know, that brought you into more problems, that, you know, they, I guess, assumed it would be tax saving, getting rid of the assessor's office would save the budget some money, and it's supposed to, I guess, you were thinking, make things less complicated. Of course, it made it more complicated, but isn't most of the complication created by the fact that the calculation's wrong? Some of these things seem simple enough to fix if you sit down and you have a CP, you know, at a proper audit firm or something like that, or even just an individual, even as anyone that understands finance should be able to look at this. I mean, it seems like there's common problems across the board. Like you mentioned, we know there's the fact that supposedly it's customary that now the assessment of each property went up because, in most cases, because use the village, instead of the village assessment, the town assessment. Then you've got a miscalculation. I would think the miscalculation would have had to be somewhat one math formula across the board, wouldn't it? I mean, are you saying that people got all different calculations? Different properties are calculated, their taxes are calculated differently?
I made a motion, but right after that motion, I would love to address.
Okay.
I
Could
second.
you read that motion again?
The
so I can
motion is
check
to
it?
authorize the firm of Ferrick, Lynch, McCartney and Nugent to explore
To
and
look into
pursue,
litigation against
to
the
explore and
state,
pursue, not only to look into, but to pursue
to explore,
and pursue litigation against the state as a result of the ramifications that we find ourselves into after closing the assessor's office. Is that proper language, Ms. Mazzoli?
Yes, Mr. Trustee.
And I move on that. Do I have a second?
I second.
On that motion, I'm not going to be able to vote for this because I really don't think the state forced anyone to make a mistake, either whether it was the treasurer or the person who does the tax rolls. That mistake was made by a person and the state has nothing to do with it. And if I remember correctly, when the gentleman from the state came down from the tax or real property tax law came down, the trustees, especially you, Mr. Trustee Fonville, asked.
sorry.
That's okay. Yes, especially you, Trustee Grossman, Trustee Fonville asked a lot of questions. I mean, it seems to me that the people from the state were asked to come here and give information, not that they came down and they said, this is what we want. So if the members of the board went and asked the people to come down and give us some
The mayor
information,
invited him.
and they gave us
The
the
mayor invited
information,
him.
whomever did it,
Sure.
the part of the board, so he came down and gave information. Now, we can't say we're gonna sue them, we're gonna be, wasting a lot of time and energy, and what, they're gonna turn around and sue us, for, I don't know, defamation, whatever it is. We cannot allow another lawsuit, there are so many lawsuits going on. And I know this is gonna be a contingent on whether, we win something. I don't think we're gonna win that one, because, really, we have to fix this problem. I think we should spend our time fighting with the mayor and the treasurer to find the proper calculations so we can refund or give the taxpayers their money, those who paid, and those who didn't pay, for them to get corrected bills so that we can move on. But suing, I don't think this is something that we should do.
I hear you.
I have a question. The mayor's been telling people that, with $2 million in the hole, and that we have to give $2 million, we have to have a bond to get, so we can take the $2 million we lost from Clarkstown. If the bill, the correct bills were sent back to the people in Clarkstown, what $2 million? Did we gave the money to people? How do we lose it if they corrected the mistake?
My understanding is that there was no refund to Clarkstown at this point because the bills were wrong and when they were first sent out.
Right?
And there had to be a corrected bill. So that money, my understanding, isn't lost. It was erroneously charged in the first place and it had to be corrected and the board voted to have it corrected
Right.
pursuant to the law. And that's what was done, is my understanding.
So how do we, I just want to understand where the $2 million comes from your perspective. You don't think that do you think we need to pass a resolution to borrow or to bond $2 million? And what would that $2 million be for?
I think that's a question that needs to be asked to the treasurer. Your budget hasn't changed.
Right,
And your budget from one year over to the next didn't increase much. You guys
Right.
did a great job keeping the budget down. What all that's changed is the assessments. And the assessments is how it's distributed. That has nothing to do with any of you here. That's the assessing office. It's how the budget is distributed among the residents. So that's what is the issue. It has nothing to do with the budget that was passed. But how is it allocated? That's something that the treasurer should be able to answer.
and I think, I see the mayor with a box here. I would like for the treasurer, if the treasurer is going to prepare something, I would like for it to have a stamp with his signature on it. Because I don't wanna take any piece of paper from the mayor that says, here it is and this is what it is. I want something that the mayor, we can hold the treasurer accountable. If it's wrong again, then he's going to be responsible.
That was the verification you were speaking about. That if the treasurer can verify perhaps an Excel sheet, whether it be the one he and the mayor worked on or whether it be a new one, that simply has the 2017 tax bill, the 2016 tax bill, and the difference.
You're saying that because apparently this spreadsheet, which really wasn't created by him, correct?
I do not know. I was advised by Mr. Mayor that it was prepared by him and the treasurer, I believe. I'm not sure, but he's indicated he got that information from the treasurer. It could very well be that is all correct information from the treasurer. I just don't know the answer. So I think you need, even if it's that sheet, that it should be verified would be our recommendation.
I just want to clarify something while we're still on the motion. The conception, it's true. The treasurer made a mistake with the calculation. It mostly affected the Clarkstown. It somewhat affected the Ramapo residents. However, the bulk of the increase to the people of this village is coming as a direct result of the assessment being different on the town level than it was on the village level. Which means that even if we get the best calculator and the best treasurer next year, the results are still going to be very similar to this year, with the exception of the erroneous mistake in Clarkstown. But the Ramapo residents, which consist of the majority of the parcels in this village, I believe over 90% or close to 90%, 88%, will still be affected and will have a very similar bill as they did this year. So the solution of the S-Star was a this year solution. We have to come up with a solution for the future years. And the first step in that direction is to have the state be accountable for the encouragement that they gave us, in my opinion, the encouragement they gave us to consolidate, which they give to everyone, not just to us, and to close assessor's office, which they give to everyone and not just to us. And that's on there, that's an agenda that the state is pushing, and therefore if we can go after them and get the expenses at least, this return of funds, the S-Star refunds, is going to create a shortfall in our budget next year. The money is going to have to come from somewhere. So if we can get at least some of that money, and at least for the studies and for the analysis and reevaluation that you might have to do for this village, if we can get that from the state, who has a lot more money than our village residents, and I want to remind everyone that that Rockland County is the second highest property taxes in the nation, not in the state, in the nation. Westchester County is number 1, Rockland County is number 2. We are the highest property taxes in the nation. So if we can get some money from the state versus burden our taxpayers with it, I'll be happy to go to any length, as long as it doesn't cost the village taxpayers anything, of course, any length, and to pursue that. And that is the reason why I made the motion.
Okay, while you're thinking about this, I'd like to ask, how many of you actually live in the village of Spring Valley? Like, how many got a tax bill like I did?
All of us.
All live in
Okay,
Spring Valley.
fantastic. So can any of you explain to me how you calculate the taxes? Because from year to year, 2016, 2017, the calculation doesn't work the same.
Because we closed the assessment.
But what is even the correct assessment?
This
Because
is
I
what
feel
we-
like maybe
we-
last
this
year
is-
wasn't correct the more I start doing the math on this.
Why isn't last year?
Well, please tell me, if you look at my 2016 taxes, what numbers I used to calculate the bill that I paid last year. And then I'm gonna try to use that calculation on this year's to try to understand. I just feel like it really shouldn't be this complicated.
This is the 2017. 2016, okay. So your assessed value,
Well, this is the total tax.
your
levy
assessed value
for
was
the whole-
$9,500.
Right, that was my village.
Your rate
assessment.
per $1,000 was
Yeah.
$248.
So if I divide out these numbers, it doesn't
Just
equal
do
that number.
248.72.
Well, it's per thousand, so it's 0.248,
0.248,
7250, is that what it says?
yes, times 9,500.
I think you said 9,500 divided by 2.248.
No, times
All right, let's go
9,500.
back the other way then, sorry.
You're talking like the new treasure.
Times 0.2,
487250 times 9,500.
well, there's the 2362, okay, so that's simple enough. Now
Right.
this year, all right, so then if I come here,
114.
that's
Your
this
assessment,
year's,
your assessment is 28,560 times 0.114 39425.
326709. Okay, so that's correct. So what happened that other people's wasn't as simple as this? Because I can clearly see my issue is that, like we talked about last week, that my assessed value went to the town assessment, which was 3 times as high as mine. So even though the rate was cut in half, my assessment is 200% higher.
Correct. I wanted you to be aware that against almost every person that had an increase, there's a person who had a decrease. Not everyone got an increase. There were about
Oh, I know, I did hear people
1,600
say that.
1,600 people who got an increase about, and 1,300 people got a decrease.
And all the, there has to be
And
more
their,
properties in
and
that
their decrease
total.
is also not an error, it's as a result of the change of
Because
the
they happen
value.
to have a lower assessment for the town.
Because the town's assessment is actually more accurate than the village was.
You know, I did finally go to my PO box and get the new July 17th. How come the state aid changed? That number changed. These, you know, you have here rates, estimated state aid village, that changed. Why did numbers change? My tax bill didn't change, that's fine, but those numbers changed. This is the
Where's the
2017
state aid?
reissued, the estimated state aid.
But it varies probably year by year.
But
The
this is the
treasurer
same
would
year,
be-
this is 2017, this is the reissued 2017.
So you didn't get an increase in your tax bill?
I did, the first tax bill and the second one match as far as my tax due. And it did increase $900, but only because of I don't have a miscalculation, apparently, just that now my assessed value was previously assessed by the village at, in 2016, I was assessed at 9,500, see 9,500? And then when they moved me up to the town, which I matched this to my town tax bill, it's 3 times as high, 28,560. So mathematically, even though the rate went down, it doesn't matter, the assessment went up high enough that it's going to increase the tax. So, I mean, obviously, my only recourse then is to agree with the assessor's office and have a reassessment, is what it sounds like for me, my personal situation. But I feel like
No,
other
and
people,
the S-Star, which I hope you filled out.
I did, but if there's not a miscalculation, unless there's going to be across the board new assessments for the village
what
for
I'm
But
this
that's in
year,
the future.
then it's gonna be the same, right?
That's what I'm saying, that it will be the same. So giving an S-Star this year resolves this year and creates a shortfall in our future budget. And if we can pursue the state and see if we can get, for the state to give us $1 million to $2 million is not a lot. And it will mean a huge deal to the village. And if we're successful at least to get what it costed us and our shortfall and our analysis and our potentially new assessment or revaluation of all the properties, that would be great, and especially if we can get it with no cost to the village for the litigation part. So being that the motion is on the floor and is properly seconded, I would ask kindly the deputy clerk to call the roll.
Okay, trustee Fonda,
Yes.
trustee Grossman,
Yes.
trustee McGill,
Yes.
deputy, sorry,
No.
trustee White, no, and mayor is absent. So it passes.
We were talking right before that about what we can do as trustees to to proceed with this process, the S-Star process, without interference of the mayor. Giving everyone across the board is not something that I would encourage. From my rough estimate over here, it seems like about, if this is, what?
Go ahead, no, let you finish.
No.
No, finish your
No.
thought, and then I'll jump in after.
No, I've
I
said
have
so
mine.
much tonight, I'm gonna let you talk. If you are not gonna say something that I wanted to say, I'll jump.
I'm just, I took the time out, you know, we're trying to fix the problem. I was looking at the resolution that was given to us from, you know, the attorney's office, special counsel's office, but just in reality, when you work with the numbers, with the 75% increase, or 75% difference, that refund, when you go back, when you do more calculation to figure out what would be the percent increase, the percent increase with like a 75%, yes, it would vary, but, I mean, you're looking at over like a 10% increase, which myself as a taxpayer felt like that's a lot. So I went and I looked, last night, I took the time out to see like, okay, well, maybe what we need to do, because there is an outcry from the residents, and I am a servant of the residents, what can we do to kind of like fix it? I did some numbers, I did calculation, I started with 90%. I said, okay, well, let me figure out 90% difference, and what would be the increase rate, or the percent increase. When I did the 90%, on just, I took a couple of parcels, and I did numbers, and to see what would be the percent increase, and it kind of ranged with the 90%, it kind of ranged from like 8% to maybe even 11%, so it was more than 10%, and I was like, well, that's still, in my eyes, a little bit too much of an increase, a percent increase in terms of taxes. I took the time out, I said, okay, let me go to 95%. 95%, it was within the range of like, when I look at things, the percent increase could be in a range that I felt like that would cause a moderate increase in taxes, which is or within the range in which municipalities generally increase. Because when you look back at 2015 to 2017, I look back to get that information from the village. The percent increase was about 4.2. So I'm like, okay. So when I looked at maybe perhaps, and this is just a thought of mine and my opinion, maybe perhaps if we did a 95% refund of the difference, it then kind of put the percent increase in the range of like 2%, 4%, no more than 5% for the most part. So, and I thought that would be logical because at the same time, we still have to cover village expenses. So we have to keep that in mind as well. So it was just some thought. I went through the process, and I don't know if this board would consider, but it was just a thought process that I took upon myself to look to see what that percent increase would be, to see if it would be logical and feasible, and because in reality, you will, in most cases, each year you're going to have a percent increase. I know that in from 2014 to 2015 here in this village, it was 84% increase, and then from 2015, like I said, to 2016 was 4.2%. So will we have a little increase? Of course. So, but if we stay within that range, percent increase, close to that 4.2%, I thought that would be acceptable by the residents.
So your suggestion is to increase what we did on June 13, that we passed on 75% of the refund. You're suggesting to increase that to
95%.
95%. Are you making a motion to that effect?
I mean, I would love to make the motion. I mean, because my thing is, we got a spreadsheet. I mean, like the young lady said, how hard is it to do calculations? I mean, I literally did this with, even on paper. So you can use a Microsoft Excel to come up with your formula. It will do everything for you. So it's time. We have to do something. We can't keep prolonging this, and I feel like that's what's happening. We're prolonging the situation. We need to fix it. And it's our job, my job as one, to try and fix it. And like I said, I'm proposing that we perhaps maybe change the 75% to 95%. And
I have a quick question
Yeah.
that might help you with
No.
your numbers.
Mhm.
When we look at our total tax levy, that's the total tax levy in
Mm-hmm.
total for all the properties, correct? Like that's what you'll collect. You should collect in
From the
total from
taxpayer.
all the taxpayers. So normally, I didn't do the math on this either. I probably should have now that I'm looking at this. It tells me what the tax levy increased from year over year. So it increased 2.06%. And again, when I got my reissue now, it says even 2%, but okay, it's close enough. But wouldn't I expect my taxes to go up that same percentage? Is that what normally happens? Because, right, it
Yes.
seems like it has to be then allotted out to everybody.
If your assessment was last year the same as this, it was this year the same as last year,
Right.
then that would have been the increase.
The case, right?
But there is
so.
a change in assessment due to the closure
Sure.
of the assessor's office.
Right, no, my taxes ended up going up 38%, I actually
Correct.
just did the math. Actually, 38%, I mean,
Which
it's
is-
$900, doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at, because it's not a
Percent
huge tax
increase.
bill, it is 38%, which is crazy, right? But, like I said, I kind of think what you're saying, if I would have expected a 2.06% increase, I could actually go back and use the assessed value last year, figure out what my taxes would have been then, add 2.0, right, 2% to that,
What
and that's
was
where
your
I'd be
bill?
at.
What was your bill last year?
So my bill last year was 2362.89.
So if we were to add 2% to that,
2.06, right? That's
it
the
would
percent,
add about $47.
right? Instead of the 900 that I ended up
Right.
increasing.
And what was your increase? 900?
900, 900, because this year is 3267.10.
67.
.10, yeah. So it's about, it is almost 900 even, right?
So in essence, what Trustee White is suggesting would give you, Trustee McGill is suggesting, in essence what Trustee McGill is suggesting would give you a even smaller increase than 2% in your case.
Which, I
It
don't,
would be $45.
and I agree, but you guys have to, balance your budget, of course. So, you have to be realistic. I also wanted to say that it would be very helpful if whatever, I think instead of just reissuing these bills, which seems like to me was a big mistake because I'm scrutinizing it, things aren't matching, why aren't they matching? Again, the time you're gonna take to sue the state, guess what? You're just opening yourself to time for people to start suing you guys. So I would say that I would almost you need to issue some kind of statement maybe in the newspaper once you determine, or letters, with a final determination and real numbers so people can go back and do the math and feel confident that the refund they're getting is correct. If they're getting a refund, or explain, or they do the math themselves, they say, okay, it seems, and explaining that the assessment is now the town assessment and it's customary. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I gotta tell you the truth, I never looked, because the increment, year over year was so small in the past, I never worried that much about it. I didn't worry about, why are they calculating it correctly? I just paid the bill.
And that's why we had these public meetings last week and this week.
Mm-hmm.
I would have hoped that we have it over there. I would expect that people came and didn't know where to go and they
I
left.
wasn't here at 6 on the dot, so I'm not sure. But I would think they would
But
have
yes,
probably found out.
that's the reason we had these meetings, to give people the opportunity to ask questions and answer them.
I know, but I think there's a lot of people, like I said, that may not be coming to the meeting just hiring an attorney for all you know. I mean, you would probably want to nip that in the bud. I mean, I just don't want to see things drag out and drag out. Like we were just saying, I feel like the solution shouldn't be that complicated. I mean, unless there's something else going on that is not being revealed, that's causing budget issues.
What's your motion, so I can make sure I get it right?
I guess basically to amend the present resolution, so that it states that instead of 75%, I don't know if they use the word difference, I believe it said increase, let me see the application.
Refund on the increase.
Yeah, let me just say. So amend it so that instead of 75% of the increased portion,
Wait, say that.
okay, I'll say it again.
Amend
Amend the
amend present,
resolution, so that it states that a settlement check in the amount of only 95% of the increased portion in the village 2017 tax bill from that imposed and paid by the village taxpayer in the prior village tax year. Just that piece, basically.
So it's 75% that I'm substituting in there.
You're instead of 75%, 95%.
I haven't seen the resolution.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
It's the resolution from June 13th.
I never got it.
I'll email it to you tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, so McGill made the, motion, is there a second? No second?
Second. I mean,
Sorry, yeah.
yeah,
I'll
now we
second
can
it.
have a discussion, no?
You seconded?
Okay, trustee Fonzo? On the amended, resolution?
95%. I mean, we don't have a real number, I'm gonna vote for it, but, that's the work of the treasurer, and to get real number, to make comparisons in terms of 95, 99, and whatnot, so in the absence of that, I'll vote for it.
Trustee Grossman?
Yes. Anything that we can do to
Alleviate
alleviate
the pain.
the pain of the
Okay.
taxpayers.
Trustee McGill?
Yes.
Trustee White?
I really believe that the calculation should be that the taxpayers get 100% of the money that they were billed incorrectly, and then the treasurer should do the calculation so that he could add the 0.34% tax increase, which was what was part of the budget.
But is it fair to the budget?
I still think, even if it's 95%, we're still taking people's money. We're still acting like bullies and saying, you made a mistake, but we're willing to give you 95%. Instead of 100% of the error, we're gonna give you back your money, but we charge you incorrectly. We're going to
Yeah.
give it back, or if you didn't pay it, we want you to pay the correct bill. We say, we're giving you we're keeping 5%. I think we should give people 95% and add the 0.34% tax increase. That's what it should be. So I'm going to vote for this.
Okay, it passes. So I have a question. When I do this tomorrow, I'm to give this to Mr. Cherian, and he's supposed to correct tax bills. Is that correct?
No.
Let me understand
The
it.
tax bills, as was numerously stated by Mr. Lynch's office, there is no legal reason to give let me make something clear, because the record reflects trustee White's comments, and I just wanna make sure that the record reflects that that's not the case. The increases, for those that received increases, are not necessarily incorrect. The amount of the increase may be slightly off for the round proportion. The amount of the increase may be slightly off. So to state that that we're bullies and we're taking away people's money and they should be getting back 100%, that is just not incorrect statement, because they were rightfully, like I said, if we remain with the same system that we had this year, even with all the corrections, the bills are going to be very similar to what people received this year. So we have to come up with a different solution. So it's not that the bills are incorrect to the extent that all of the increases were wrong, it's rather that the amount of the increase was slightly incorrect in the random proportion. As a matter of fact, in some cases they were probably under what they should be. That is still incorrect, but it's under what it should be.
I'm trying to understand what you just voted on.
So we did not vote to give out new tax bills.
So
We
it's the
voted
95%.
that instead of giving a 75% refund check, we're going to give a 95% refund check.
That's what I said.
Right.
Right,
That's what I
but
said.
not, no, you asked about bills.
On the increase.
You're gonna, Mr. Chairman is gonna give them 95%
Refund on the
refund
increase.
on their bill.
Refund check, yes, on their bill. I'm sorry if I misunderstood your question. I thought that you were asking us if new bills will be issued. So no, new bills will not be
The
issued.
mayor was
So
talking
how they
about
gonna know
new bills being issued.
what to pay for taxes if they don't get a
They
bill?
received bills twice. Everyone received the bill twice, in June
So
1st.
he's gonna automatically send them out the refund check? I don't
The refund
understand.
check comes to
He's gonna ask me.
Whoever filled out an S-Star form will get a refund check. If they are qualified, they will get a refund check. Instead of that check to reflect 75% of the increase, it will now reflect 95% of the increase. So there's no change to who receives it, it's just the amount they will receive. You seem confused, I can try to answer any question you have.
Why are you confused? Why are you
Never mind. I'll figure it out with the.
Is the village borrowing the money to fund all of this? Where is the money coming from? I thought I heard somebody say you're gonna borrow it.
The mayor was
That was the mayor.
Well,
We'll have to
where
address
is,
the
where is
mayor.
the money
To
coming
address
from?
the mayor was saying that.
Oh, okay. Nobody else has any idea where the money's coming from?
You understand this resolution, right?
Well, it would be nice if before the board votes on something, that they should send out, an email to everyone. Maybe other people got the email, I didn't get it, but to just, that's how we get into the,
This resolution session.
can you say it loud so I can hear too?
The clerk had asked me a question, I didn't want to,
That's okay, because I can't even get my point across.
sorry.
What is it that you're telling people I would like
Well,
to
see, I
hear.
have to know,
what you're
when it's
teaching her.
taken right,
So
this
I know.
out to you guys.
I know what you're saying, what is it?
Yes, the clerk asked me a question, what was the resolution that was just passed? So, and how it related to the prior resolution of June 13th. So I told her, my understanding is that trustee McGill amended a portion of the prior resolution, which provided for a 75% refund.
To 95.
To 95, so I was just pointing that out because she didn't have it. I apologize to Ms. Trustee.
Isn't there some requirement somewhere that before the village spends money, that they know where the money's gonna come from?
That's what I was thinking.
This village usually vote and then think later.
It's not a thing about
That's
voting
why,
and
that's
things
why
later.
we in the predicament
We're in a
now.
situation right now that we have to fix, and this
Which you-
resolution,
you
this
messed up in the
resolution-
first place.
absolutely
nothing
not.
new.
I,
I mean, you
honestly,
guys
you
voted
can
for
say
this
that we
nonsense.
messed up, like you said on
You
Channel
voted for
12.
this nonsense.
It's not a thing about it being nonsense.
No,
There-
we're not even
if you do
thinking
your
about it.
homework
Just
and prepare
vote.
yourself,
Yes.
there's more pros than cons. And if I felt like, just like you say, I vote the way I want to vote, if I vote feeling like there was more pros than cons when it came to the assessor's office, I shall do so. I'm one vote.
It's so sad that the assessor, that the treasurer has sent out the correct bills in the first place.
We wouldn't be
we
in this
wouldn't have this.
situation.
Maybe the lawyer can answer my question. Is it required that a village know where it's getting the money before it spends the money?
The village has the discretion to spend its budget in the way that it wishes.
And this spending comes from what part of the budget?
I do not know the answer to that. Perhaps the treasurer would be the best person to answer that question.
You should be at this meeting.
Right? Which would be nice.
I mean, a budget, right, is established by looking at your expenses for the year and planning what, I mean, you know, having a plan of what you plan to spend on.
There's budget lines for the police, there's budget
Right,
lines for this and
based
that.
on salaries, as well as like whatever they cover, construction work on the roads.
Right.
Right, so they have to have an idea, and then I would assume that's how they develop
not
that
like
tax
it's-
levy number, right?
It's not like it's $24, it's a lot of money.
24 million, yes.
So he's not gonna send out new tax bills, is that correct?
No new tax bill.
So the people have to pay first, and then they'll get
These
refunded?
people are paid, I guess, right?
Most people already paid.
Because a lot of,
When
because
they have to
people
pay
with
first.
me, mine's
I
come
don't
through my
think so.
mortgage.
I think people are waiting.
People are waiting because one of the resolutions we passed is that there is no penalty or
Why
late
make a
fee.
person pay $10,000 when they can pay $2,000?
No,
I
no,
don't
no,
understand.
that's not the case.
That's what you just said, that they have to pay first
Yeah,
and
but-
then they'll get refunded.
But there's not even one that had an increase of $10,000.
Well, that was just an example.
Okay.
That was just an example. What if,
But
okay,
yes, they have
say
to,
that-
the
that-
reason.
Okay, now, because I want to understand this too,
Sure.
because I'm a taxpayer
Mr.
too.
Oriska had
Say
an
a
increase of
person,
$10,000.
got a bill for $4,000, and their bill is
Maybe
actually
between
supposed
three
to be.
properties,
You're
not
gonna
one
listen, and the bill is
Still
actually
one
supposed to be $2,000. Why make the person pay the $4,000 and then get refunded?
The reason
Why
for
not
that,
make the person pay what they're supposed to pay?
that's a
That
very
makes
good
sense.
question. Not what they're supposed to pay. They're still supposed to pay the
Well,
full.
you know what I'm saying. Don't turn the
let me
words
answer that in
around.
the right way.
Because I'm a taxpayer too, and I'm trying to understand this too.
The refund is not a correction of an error. The refund is a refund that the village is giving as a result of the pain that the taxpayer is going through with having such a big increase
It's a
without having a
correction.
report.
an
It's not an error.
What is
It's
that
not
of an error? What
It's
is
not
it?
an error.
It's not?
No,
Oh my God.
it's not an error. Like I said before, only a small portion of that is an error. The
An error
increase
is an error, even if it's 1%,
Yeah, but,
it's
no, but
an
if,
error.
let's say if your bill's supposed to be $9,000.
That's double work
Okay.
you're talking about,
Okay,
Joe.
let me just answer your
Instead of
question.
him sending out the correct tax bills, send out the correct tax bills with the 75%.
There's no,
Instead
the
of-
correct bills are out. The correct bills are
Then what's
out.
the problem then? Why we even at this meeting?
Because people
If the
had,
correct bills are
the
there.
correct, if the bills were correct, they have a huge increase. If the bills were 100% correct, they would still have a huge increase. And we're addressing that huge increase. And the reason why it's done, so that they have to pay the money and then they get a refund,
That don't make no sense.
I'll
There's-
explain it. The
Make
reason
them
why
pay
it's
it,
done
then they're gonna
is
take it,
because
get a
when they
refund.
They
received
don't
the...
have the money to pay.
Exactly.
Are you interested in my answer or you're not?
Some don't have the money.
You want me to answer? I can still answer if you want me to.
Still acting like bullies, make force them
Ms.
to
Scott, do
pay.
you want me to answer?
I'm listening to you.
Good. So the reason why it was done that way, that they must first pay and then they get a refund, is because the refund check is a settlement check. It's a settlement. In return of receiving that refund, you will not sue the village.
But suppose that person can't afford those kind of taxes.
Then that's why they're getting the refund.
Suppose they don't have the money to pay that
I mean,
big
it
Then
tax.
we
sounds
can't
like-
settle it with them.
It almost
This is
sounds
the
like
only way.
individuals
This
that
is
are-
the only
That's a
way.
big
This
amount,
is
some of them
the
got big amounts, and suppose they can't afford to pay that,
On the advice
that
of
amount, and they lose their house.
on the they won't lose their house because they're getting the
If they don't
refund.
have the money, they're gonna lose their house.
Sure. So I can only answer, I can't answer to anyone's house whether they're gonna lose it or not. I can answer you
They sure won't,
legal
they don't pay
counsel,
the
legal advice was brought up and suggested that this is the best way to do it in order to prevent litigation. So that is you wanted to know the reason? This is the reason.
Is
I
that,
can,
Is that
Can you-
yours?
can you
That's your
explain?
resolution?
this resolution that was presented was from special counsel's office. This was their legal opinion, their legal advice. What I'm saying based on that resolution, because looking at the numbers that I calculated, I was talking about the percentage. This resolution was a resolution that was generated from the special counsel's office. So I'm just making corrections to.
But that resolution was the
Yes,
first
you read it.
resolution. Does that resolution talk about settlement?
Yes,
And what does it say about settlement in that resolution?
the
That
resolution,
they should take and pay the amount first and then get reimbursed?
yes, and I'll provide you a copy of this and you can pose any questions that you have
Do
about
people
it.
that are in those circumstances get paid interest back with that? With that settlement refund?
They're not charging them any interest for
For the
payment.
period of time that it was incorrect?
Yes.
Because it is really incorrect for many
You know, the
people.
taxes
I mean, I'm looking at mine, I'm saying, why now does my fair market value of my house go up almost 100, like
It's
double?
simply that, listen, it's not,
They already paid, but they haven't.
Right, of course, right.
is what it
But
is.
if the assessment does
So
what
they're
it's,
way a different assessment.
right.
It's the town assessment.
Then why are some people then, I mean, people, their assessment changed that much?
Then send the money to them.
That may not be right. I was wondering, what is the rate based on? Well, last year was that.
That could be a clause.
So,
What is the rate based on? How do they determine the rate?
I was just.
Yeah, I know.
You need another tape.
Politics or whatever. Listen, I probably get more paid in private corporation than I get paid. I get bonuses too, they're gonna be
Have not paid,
headaches.
then they get a new letter. They get a corrected letter. Some people can't afford to pay those, that high bill. And what this is saying is that the people have to pay the high bill and then get refunded. Some people can't afford it.
Makes no
And
sense.
None.
Listen,
And
if
this is only a
it's,
one-time refund, correct, because of the S-Star?
Right, it's-
Meaning like this might be a permanent change going forward,
It's
because the
S-star.
assessment is now the future assessment that's changed.
if in the resolution, I mean, listen, I'm just trying, me personally, I'm just trying to fix it. All right, that's what I like to do, so if we can, that's quote unquote supposed to be the goal.
But that is, I'm just thinking to myself, like, if taxes are gonna stay this
Trustee
high,
Wright,
people
I
aren't
always
able to afford to
think,
live
I
there.
always do my homework. Remember, I'm always prepared.
Can't make a
You gotta be
decision on
prepared.
the move.
I'm always prepared, always, so never say
And
that.
that's
Never
that's
say
what
that about
happens
trustee
when you
McGill,
think-
I'm always prepared. It's, talk to the treasurer's
Don't let
office.
people make
Talk to
you
your
make
treasurer's
decision, don't let
department.
them influence
No one
you.
never does that
Use
to
your
me,
brain.
so, I have a brain, you need to use
Use your
yours.
brain.
You don't use your brain during
Use your
meetings, because you
brain.
don't even take home your packet. You don't even know what's going on.
Use your brain.
You ask a lot
As
of
trustees,
questions.
do you
Come
take
on.
on the role of
supposed to ask
fiduciary?
a
You
lot
should be
of questions.
prepared, be
I'm supposed to
prepared.
ask a
No,
lot of
you should be
questions.
prepared, don't ask us, be
Use your
prepared.
head.
Be
What did I
prepared.
ask you?
You never use your head.
What did I ask
You're
you?
talking about using your head. You're
Use your head.
never prepared. You don't even know what's going on. You're asking what that abbreviation is for. You should know what it's for.
When did I ask you that?
Look at your backup.
Oh my God.
You say it in meetings,
you
trustee,
just
trustee,
lying
you
like
say
this?
it in meetings all
Oh
the
my
time. But I'm not
God.
gonna argue. I'm
You're
not
just
here to
sitting there
argue.
lying?
I'm not here to argue. What's
I thought you
what's
only
next?
do it, you know,
What's
in
next?
Spring Valley
Right,
on the
where are we?
street,
Where
not
are we?
here.
What's next?
Lying
So
and
that
telling people
resolution
stuff
just
about
passed.
me.
Mesa.
So,
My
Everything's
God.
political
for that
with you.
resolution.
Oh.
You're political
I'm
too.
going to, I just
Wow,
emailed my
really?
staff,
You are,
so
absolutely.
email it to you tomorrow.
You just need to be careful.
You're
When you make a
political too.
decision,
You're
use
political
your head.
too.
What I'll
Very
do is
political.
I'll
I know you're
email
running for
Boston
mayor.
Entertainment.
We all know that. I know.
I'm glad you
I
know.
know. Very
Very
political.
good. In your
Very
words and what you're
political.
saying on the
Very
street, it's not
political.
deterring
Very,
anybody.
very political.
not
I don't have to
working.
say anything about you. They
It's not
know.
working.
They know.
They know what?
They know about
What
you.
do they know?
They know.
What did they know, Trustee McGill?
Where are we? Where are we?
What did they
That's
know?
another topic.
What
Is
did
that
they
on
know
the
about
agenda?
me?
I don't
What
think
you've
that's
been
on the
telling
agenda.
them, the
All right,
lies
so
you've been
let's-
spreading?
Let's
I don't need to
go.
spread lies.
Yes, what you've been
You know.
doing.
Where are we?
So,
Keep going the way you're going.
I'm just fine.
Keep going.
I'm very educated, thank
So
you.
what I would
Oh,
like
sure.
to.
Very
I got more education than you.
Oh, that's
Go ahead.
nice. Wow.
Go ahead, trustee
That is
Grossman.
funny. People
Ready?
who have
Trustee Grossman, ready?
education, they don't really
There's
need to
nothing
tell
there.
people what they have.
Nothing there.
Oh,
President.
thank you, I'm glad you
Nothing.
noticed.
I
You have
know.
nothing there.
You,
Ms.
Wow.
Mazzillo,
where are we?
Your
Um,
education is
where are
making
we?
you treat people
Where are
like
we?
that.
I work for the
I
people,
feel
I don't
sorry
work for you or
I feel sorry
Demesa.
for you.
I don't work for you or Demesa.
Oh, please,
Okay. Where are we?
take a break.
I would like to go back to what I said before regarding finding a way to resolve this as quick as possible. At least the trustees can do their part. So we passed a resolution, we now increase it from 75 to 95. What can we do so that our part, so that people can actually get their refund checks?
You need the verification from the treasurer about the 2017 amount versus the 2016 amount and what the difference is, as well as a calculation as to what the 95% of that difference would be.
Okay,
And that needs to be verified by the treasurer.
and then we also need to know who applied for the S-Star.
Yes. And we would propose that our office draft a proposed settlement release that was authorized in the, or mentioned in the prior resolution that was passed on June 13th, and that we would submit that to the board for the board's review.
Okay, and how, since you touched upon that, how would the person sign that release, meaning by signing the check?
They would have to sign the release itself before the check could be sent to them. They need to be notified of the proposal, whatever the amount is that is verified by the treasurer. And they would have to be notified of that, as well as sign off on this release. And then you can release the funds.
So just there's no legal mechanism by signing the check, you automatically sign the release?
There could be, and we could look at that.
Because the other
I
way.
don't know the answer to that off the top
Okay.
of my head.
Okay, because the other way would require another step for people. One is for us to determine that they get a refund, then send them a letter to sign, they have to send it back, and only then they get the refund. And that all takes time, which means that we're looking at September, perhaps October, and they're grieving right now.
The interest of the village needs to be protected as well.
Absolutely.
And so we will review what, your suggestion and have the answer to you by Monday, if that would be acceptable to the board.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, if there is no other way, to do it, then we must protect the village, there's no doubt about that. My question is only whether or not there is a way. I've heard of the concept in the past, and I would love for you to look into it, whether there is a statement that you can make on the voucher, on the check, on the paper that would contain the check, saying by signing this check, the other side of the check, you hereby give a full release and the statement, whatever. But if that's not doable, then most certainly we should do the other way. Absolutely, the village interest has to be protected. No doubt about that. I was just wondering if there's another way to do it, an easier way.
So based on maybe perhaps if we have to do all of that, would it be feasible to instead, like she was saying, maybe perhaps send out a new bill? Instead of I feel like it's creating more chaos. You understand, like,
The Ramapo side.
can we do that legally? First of all, is that okay? Instead of all those steps, maybe perhaps it might be feasible for us just to send out a new bill based on the new percentage.
There is no legal process under the real property tax law to send out a new bill to that portion of the village which is within the town of Ramapo, because it's not a correction of errors under the law.
Okay.
We did that in Claxon because we made a mistake. That was a mistake in calculation.
The Clarkstown side was a mistake. The Rampo side was not necessarily a mistake. So that is the reason, under the real property tax law, that the corrected bills were sent to Clarkstown but cannot be sent to Rampo.
Okay, that's what I need on record, okay.
And I think, Earl, did I also read that if your tax bill went down, there is no, legally, you can't reissue an increased
That's
tax
correct.
bill?
That is
So
my
that's another
understanding as well.
issue, too.
That's correct. In the process of, in the process of exploring future options for future years, one of the ideas obviously that we came up earlier is the pursuing the state and see whether that could be a feasible option. And I think that any options that we're gonna look at for future years would require analysis done by a reputable company and professionals that can advise us and tell us what to do, how to get out of this mess and not recreate this mess for next year. And like I said before, one of the options that we may have to look at is bringing back an assessment, becoming an assessment unit again, and doing a reevaluation of the entire village.
Yeah.
But that would all cost money. I would encourage, and I would like to pass a resolution that we find and create a committee, and obviously we would not name the members of that committee at this time, but to create a committee of perhaps some of the trustees and some members of the public to look into that further and come up with ideas. Should I make a motion first? You seem like you want to say something. Should I make a motion first, or you want to speak on the motion?
Why don't we address that?
Let's do this, yeah, later, like,
Okay.
let's do
In the
this
fall.
now.
Okay. I want the people to know that we're trying to do something, and one of the things we do, we're gonna create a committee.
No,
But
well, I
but if you
understand
feel,
that,
if you guys feel that we should wait, we
in
can.
terms of reassessing the village,
No, just to, not reassessing, not, okay, go ahead, you were saying?
listen, at least we know what's working and we know what, it may look good, oh, we have a community and all that. Listen, if we have to have our own assessor, to bring our assessor back, we have to reevaluate all the property. We know that.
Yeah.
That's a fact. That's the only way we can get this fair taxes for everybody. In the fall, we'll address that.
No, I don't wanna address that tonight, but I'm getting a lot of calls. I have put out a letter to many constituents that have had an increase, and the calls that I'm getting is fine, so you came up with a solution for this year. What about next year? What about the future years? And this lady that is here right now?
The future years, I think, that's where we have to evaluate. Because some of the people who got a tax increase deserve the tax increase. For many, many years,
True,
they were benefiting with bigger
absolutely.
houses, with improvement, with all that. We didn't reflect it on our bills. So they deserve but the way they got it was wrong. They didn't have time to grieve. It was just they got hit by it.
I mean, that sounds like you're saying the assessor wasn't doing the assessor's office wasn't doing their job.
Was
because
not doing.
they're supposed to go out and there's supposed to be permit for work that's done to improve a
Town
home
of
and then an
Ramapo.
assessment. And
Town of Ramapo would be there in a second, looking at the house. Our assessor
Right.
would be late 10 years. Never get it.
And I can just share my own house. I had an increase this year of, I'm not sure if $2,700 or $2,400. I had an increase from 4,700 to 7,200. Okay. The reason for that increase is because in 2001, I converted the garage space into legal living space. Town of Ramapo was there within a month. During construction, right after construction, they reevaluated my house. The village has not come yet.
well, I mean,
I'm talking about 2001. So to answer your question, did the
that's
assessor
a
do his
long
job?
time.
No. Is that the reason for my increase? Yes. Is it still painful? Yes. But is it justified? Most likely, yes. but I did not have a chance to
You
grieve
see, as
that
a
increase.
taxpayer, I mean, listen, there are a lot of people that live on a tight budget, and if they didn't plan for this increase, there was no forewarning of it, they may not be able to afford their homes, when
And
you
that
when you
is
think,
why-
and that is a concern. So I mean, what, are people gonna start selling their homes left and right, and the community's gonna change overnight because of this?
That is why we issued the S-Star.
Yeah.
That's the first and foremost reason. And secondly, and that is why we're gonna look into options for the future as well. We're not gonna just let this go on like this.
I
It
mean,
needs to be
how did
done.
it ever originate that there were two different assessments, town versus village?
If the assessor of the village would have done his job all
Oh, I
these
see what you're
years,
saying, right.
the people would not have experienced these increases.
Well, now I'm curious, I'm probably gonna go to the town of Ramapo and look at the history of this home, because it's been owned by my family, first, my father, and then myself. And I'm curious to see what caused his difference. I mean, yes, he did have an addition to the home probably in the 80s or 90s. I don't know if that's when it increased for the town. That's the difference between the village and the town. But I will now
Most likely,
investigate that.
because a municipality cannot increase your assessed value unless you make a change to the home,
Right, and he did it, it was legal, it was a permit and everything else.
right?
So I agree, the town of Ramapo probably at that time assessed it higher at that point, and the village did not, maybe.
We have a building department right here. You take out a permit, the town of Ramapo logs into the system and knows the same day.
Right.
They send out their assessor, the assessor representative, within a few weeks.
Mhm.
Down the hall of this building department, we used to have an assessor's office.
Right.
That assessor's office never communicated with the building department to get that information and go out and do the reassessment.
Well, that might, because I'm just curious,
And
yeah,
that's
why
what
there was such a
resulted in
gap,
where we
right?
are now.
And are the rates this year definitely are different, like you had mentioned, came down? Are the rates correct that are on our bills currently?
So for the town of Clarkstown, it was incorrect. It was incorrect, drastically incorrect. And in town of Ramapo, actually, it is lower than it should be.
But what is that rate based on? How do I calculate that rate? Like, why do you say it is lower than it should be? It's definitely lower than last year, it's half,
Right, but it
approximately
should have
half,
been
yeah.
slightly higher.
But what is that rate
But
based on?
that's really the treasurer's, I wouldn't be able
Okay,
to
it's a
elaborate too much
calculation.
on that.
Does it,
Yeah, sure.
It's a complicated
Okay.
formula, but it's available on the state
oh, look,
tax
okay.
website.
Okay.
They have a complete formula, how to break it down and walk through how this
All right, I
is
probably
done.
didn't get to that. I did try to print, start printing things, but I didn't have time.
Tax.gov.
Like we have to roll, and this is too simple. I need to really dive deeper.
It's
That's what it
called,
looks like.
it's ORPTS is the website,
Okay,
Sounds good.
and you could ask how your,
okay.
how the rate is determined, and they have a formula you can step through.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure you'll be able to.
Yeah, I'm sure I should be able to, hopefully.
It's a proposition. How can you propose to do it?
I want to go back to what I'm proposing regarding a committee. I'm not setting up any committee, and there's no date for that committee. I just want to verbalize a resolution that there's an intent to set up a committee.
Yes.
Just,
Goodwill.
you okay with that?
I mean, I don't think it's necessary right now for a resolution, so you verbalizing, which is in the minutes of this meeting, I think that's good enough.
Nobody will ever know because I can't type verbatim minutes.
I don't think it's necessary though. That's my opinion.
You having a position to it?
That's my opinion.
If I bring it to...
I think right now, it's, yes, I understand, you're trying to show the people that we are trying, but, in terms of creating a committee or mentioning it, I hear it would be beneficial to this village, of course, to have a committee, but I don't think this evening, I'm prepared to vote on a resolution at this time.
to explore a committee.
Absolutely, yes.
How about you, Trustee White?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, then I won't bring it for, I won't move on it. If there's no support for it. I have two, right? You would support it.
I was, I understand that, I mean, the reason I said the fall, because I'm looking at something else, with any political year. But, you know, the idea is noble, that it's good to have a committee of maybe professional people, citizenry who, like this, what's your name?
Suzanne.
Like Suzanne, who's knowledgeable with numbers and finances and, you know, I mean, I think a committee would be good, but that's my opinion.
I appreciate it. Just,
The
ju-
ball.
Paying the treasurer for it.
so I'll make it, I'll verbalize it that we, in the future, will set up a committee. Is that okay?
In the future.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I'd like to make a resolution that we explore in the future to set up a committee to look at options for the future years and how to set that up. Do I have
And
this?
what would, I'm sorry, on the motion, what would this committee, what would they be responsible for doing?
The committee will explore options for, they wouldn't have authority, obviously the authority remains with the village board. But
Explore, advise and consent with the board.
a mix of taxpayers, let's say a committee of 5 or 7 members, which would have a mix of maybe 1 or 2 trustees, just like we do with the union contracts. We have a mix. There's a board, there's an attorney, there's a few taxpayers, and 1 or 2 trustees. So when we look at the future, and nothing is set in stone. Ms. Mazzola, can you help me whether that is appropriate or inappropriate, or
The board
I don't want to set any strict rules tonight for a future committee, but I would leave it up to legal to advise on that. But what my intent tonight is to express an intent, basically, for a committee. So to show that we want to do something and we didn't leave future years just hanging out in the air, but rather we're looking at it, guys. We know you're hurting, and we know you're concerned about the future years. We're going to address it.
The board has the discretion to make a motion to explore a committee in the future for the purpose of avoiding what occurred this year and to protect the taxpayers.
You know what, Trustee McGill, I wouldn't lay out their responsibilities tonight. Their responsibilities is to be determined.
Right now,
Their
it's-
members and their responsibilities is to be determined.
It's to let the public know that we're gonna do that in the future.
I get it, it's a good idea, I understand the idea behind it, so that, you know, we don't run into the same situation, I get it. But I think in the near future, I think something like this can be brought back,
Right, but I would like,
instead of tonight.
I'm
That's
not,
my opinion.
I understand. I'm not setting up the committee, and I'm not determining its responsibilities. It's a resolution, just like we did many times in the past,
With the union contract.
no. The resolution is, how do we call it?
Well, I'm gonna, I
An
have to be
intent.
honest, I would
Yeah,
abstain
but
tonight
no.
though,
You-
I just,
you
yeah, I
you
would
determine?
abstain, yeah.
Okay, I would still bring it for a vote. I want to bring it for a vote.
Mhm.
I move on it to create a committee to explore options for the future, for future years and how to address
The tax.
the tax
Assessment.
issue, the tax assessment for future years in this village, and with the committee members and the committee responsibilities to be determined at a later time.
I would second that motion.
Probably moved in second.
I move it.
It was properly moved in
Oh,
second.
properly, okay.
Trustee Fonville,
Yes.
trustee Grossman,
Yes.
trustee McGill,
I'm gonna abstain at this time.
deputy, I'm sorry, trustee, White,
No.
Mayor is absent, that fails.
Okay, what do we do next about the forms? And I know I've asked that question a few times tonight. But what do we do next? We had 2 meetings set up, the 20th and the 27th. We're concluding the second meeting. And what do we do next? When do we look at the forms? What do we do? How do we do it?
The board may review the forms immediately,
But they're not here.
Yes.
Take them back in his office.
but the board has that option.
That was the purpose though.
And the board then, we could, once you have the verified information from the treasurer, the board will be ready to issue have another meeting, a special meeting, and pass those, or pass a resolution, with the accepting of the S-Star applicants whose things are going to be granted, and then, proceeding with the settlements.
So now, we're counting on the assessor to evaluate
Treasurer.
600, the treasurer to evaluate over 600 applications. Right?
Well, it seems like he already did put in most of it in the computer system. Once it's in there, it's just a matter of...
No. His clerk put it in the system. For
Correct.
him to evaluate requires efforts.
Evaluate what part? The 2016
No,
versus 2017?
the application to has to be evaluated.
Whether they indeed had an increase.
I mean, that's my problem. They gave us this for the other meeting. This should have been, the 2016 tax amount, 2017 tax amount should have been already verified. We need to move forward. This is why what was the reasoning then for giving us this? You know what I mean? Like, these numbers should have been verified by the department already, so that this number, the difference between these two numbers, right? And then, of course, you know, with the calculation.
I guess it's
No, it's making it complicated for no reason.
Yeah, this doesn't have to be.
It's not hard.
Just
Just
Is it paid already?
A lot of people, some of the people that applied for S-Star have actually had increases.
Well, we've got to, it's
They-
getting paid
They would have qualified. Some people that didn't know, and there's just, you know, there's a deadline, they submit their application just in case they submit. But I see about 40 to 80 people have actually, in this report, have actually had decreases. We got it last week on our desk. So you got it last week. So we are now up to the graciousness of the mayor to share those forms with the board.
The process is that they submitted the applications and the board can now
Review
review and
it,
evaluate them, and there's,
Or it can be evaluated by the treasurer.
yes, that's correct.
And then,
Well, the information has to be verified by the treasurer
Right.
so that you can act.
in worst case scenario, we're gonna have to verify it ourselves, worst case scenario. Because this thing is being played, like a political
Yeah,
football.
that's what it is.
Because
But the whole
you have
thing is
trustees who doesn't
So
understand it,
that's-
and you have the mayor who doesn't understand it.
Yeah, we don't understand it because you just made a decision to close
No,
everything
it's
without
because-
thinking.
Because when you hear numbers, you close your mind,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what it is.
Well, you know, that's your prerogative. You can
Yes.
say what you want.
Mhm.
You got a license, right?
Yeah, license for him out.
They messed up all the time and then.
It's not a question of messed up. You have other villages that did the same thing. Other villages did the same thing. It's just that here, you have a mayor who's an obstacle, and you have a treasurer, I believe, who doesn't know what he's doing.
And you have an
I mean,
assessor
since
who
when
didn't
did board members have to spend night calculating all these numbers? This is why we pay over $100,000 to a treasurer. And even the assessor, when we talk about closing down the assessment office, we ask him for models, for comparison, nothing.
The office of Lynch, Fig Lynch McCartney has begged him for information, and they were not
They
able to
black
get it.
and black and black, and then when we get this situation, trustees don't understand it, mayor doesn't understand it, no one understands it.
Is this news to you? You've been here for 3.5 years. It's like you don't know what was going on?
I don't
Okay.
remember what's going on.
Please.
Of
Is there
course
any
we
other item
know.
of business?
We did,
It's just so arguable, it's not a point.
when is the next meeting we are having?
The regular scheduled next meeting is
No,
on
on
August
this.
15th.
15th.
On this?
We don't have anything scheduled.
There's nothing scheduled, you can call a special meeting at any time the board is ready to approve the applications.
Now,
Can we meet
we
next week
just,
Thursday?
we just voted, and what do we need to for the applications?
All you have to do is set a special meeting and the board can approve or deny the applications it's
Listen,
received.
let's act, let's look at the calendar and act, I mean, we should not.
Thursday, a week from today.
No, you're gonna be away.
No, I'm gonna be here. I'm leaving the following Sunday, August
Thursday?
6th.
Let me see Thursday. Thursday's
It's
the
okay with
third.
everyone.
There's a planning board meeting.
What about Wednesday then?
What?
Wednesday, there's a planning board meeting.
I'm okay with Wednesday.
Wednesday?
August is the second.
Yeah.
August 2nd.
I'm okay with Wednesday, but this meeting is like a workshop. It's gonna be open to the public, but not
Our
necessarily
meeting
with
is
public
always
speaking.
open.
I'm saying it's open to the public, but not with public speaking. Not necessarily, it's like a workshop.
The next meeting you have on this, you should be ready to approve or deny. If
Right.
the information you're gonna have from the treasurer and the action you're going to take needs to be determined, that's when you publicly vote on it.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is whether, the planning board you meant, so that, not that the room is taken, rather that the clerk is busy with something else. Is that what you meant?
No, there's a planning board meeting in the village board.
So we can use this room or?
And
Yeah,
I'm,
but she's
I
the
can't, I
Oh,
do
okay.
planning board too.
Okay. So that's what you meant, okay, no
Yeah.
problem. So I'm okay with Wednesday.
Wednesday 6th?
I'm okay with Wednesday. No, Wednesday the 2nd.
At 6. Okay.
Oh, at 6, yeah. If the other board members agree.
And that's a special meeting to approve or deny applications.
Yeah.
Yes, the Board of Trustees is moving to alleviate the pain of and the suffering of the residents of this village, rather than just talk about it.
So that means that you all need all the applications?
Yes,
Or statements from the treasurer about all the applications.
so we need to have the applications too, if we need to review a particular one.
So what was
And the
purpose
treasurer
in
should
the
be
treasurer
here.
Putting that stuff in the computer?
That's what I'm saying, that's right.
No, it is,
It seemed like a waste.
like legal counsel mentioned before, a spreadsheet like that is also appropriate, is that correct? As long as he verifies
not
the
using it.
information.
Yes, I can email a recommended course so that this is all evaluated, done, and completed before you walk in the room. And when you walk into the room, you can see the recommendations. And when you see the recommendations, it'll be a recommendation of whether you should approve it based on the qualifications that you've set, or you should deny it based on the qualifications that you've set. For example, it should be denied if the person is, actually had a decrease already. And if your qualifications are met, it should be granted. So I think we should, I'll send an email to all of you tomorrow, setting forth what recommended course of action that the village treasurer and its employees can take so that this can timely be done and passed on, and acted on Wednesday, if that meets the board's approval.
Does the village have a responsibility to tell the taxpayers the true nature of what's happened before they encourage them to sign something, giving up their right to file litigation in the future? Don't they have the responsibility to tell them the full nature of everything that's happened regarding the taxes before they say sign here and give up your rights in the future?
The full nature has been explained and is set forth in a resolution that was presented and passed by the board on June 13th. If you care to review it,
You're representing
you're
that that's the
welcome to.
full, okay.
Yes.
Maybe you don't know.
Let me go do work.
Maybe you don't know.
Let's adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
So, second. All in favor? Aye.
So we didn't even touch on the thing with the, 4A then, huh?
Thank you, members of the board. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you, Ms.
We're
Mazzoli.
gonna go according to the
Always
agenda,
good.
so.